Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it may be when you guys are tuning into this broadcast. I am your international award winning author, literary extraordinaire, and awe inspiring coach, Toneal M. Jackson. And I want to welcome you to a very special episode of Inspirational Talk with Toneal. And look, I ain't got no home training because I guess what I probably should have did was like introduce him first and then brought him on. But can y'all tell we were already talking behind the scenes? So we just hit live. So please give a warm welcome to my special guest, my friend, award-winning author, Jeffery Roshell. Hey Jeffrey, how are you?
What's going on, Toneal? I'm blessed and highly favored.
Man, look, I'm so excited because you have an energy. Anybody who knows you knows that you just have this energy that comes with knowing you, right? And so it's like anytime you got anything going on and don't mess around, you got a project coming up too. So it's like you just feel that energy even in your posts, right? And
Yeah.
so I want to jump to it. Folks don't come into this interview like 2 minutes in thinking that they missed the first 30 minutes. Like it's just gonna be, it's gonna be that kind of interview. So your sisters watching, hello, Miss Jennifer. To all of you guys that are coming on, please feel free to hit the like button, hit the share button, tag somebody that you believe would benefit from this broadcast. Those who would benefit from this broadcast is, of course, anybody who knows the award-winning author, Mr. Jeffery Roshell, anybody who is going to be prone to this title that we're going to talk about, the ways you lie. I already told you I want to get more into that. And then anybody who's interested in being an author. So those are the types of people that we want to tag to the show on today. But Jeffrey, first of all, just how are you? And let's talk about this book.
I'm doing great, doing great. I'm blessed and highly favored. I'm almost off work. I took a break, and
Uh-oh.
it was okay
Uh-oh.
to take a break to talk to you because I told you when you talked about it last week, the week before. I said I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna get on here
Yeah.
and show with you. So they said it was okay. So it's going
See, they knew they were setting you up for greatness. They were not blocking your path to
right,
greatness. I appreciate that. So
right,
look at
right.
I appreciate them. So
Okay.
look, this book, The Ways You Lie, okay? We
Mhm.
talked about a little bit off screen, and you told me you was like, this you sure you want to talk about this one because this might not be the one for the Christian folks. I say this might exactly be the one for the Christian folks. So before we dig into it, why don't you give us like a synopsis of the book? What is The Way You Lie? What is it about?
This book is about two individuals, two young guys who eventually meet on circumstances that are kind of, I don't want to really get into that, but one of the guys is a pastor,
Uh-oh.
and he's also fluent in the community. He does a lot of social work, and then he's also struggling with being bisexual.
Uh-oh.
And the other guy is in the church, but he is okay with his sexuality of liking men. So
Okay.
they meet in this counter court of meeting comes The Ways You Lie. The pastor,
Mm,
of course, spends this whole fairy tale for him that they're together and all this other mess going on. But again, the pastor is bisexual and on the DL.
okay.
That's where the conflict comes in.
Okay.
So in the rest of the conflict comes out certain truths as well as lies, certain honesty. And the book overall, Neil, I wasn't going to write it. I wasn't going
Mhm.
to write it because I know with being a Christian myself and being in church that, everybody has their beliefs on certain things. People believe about certain things. But the reason I wrote this book was because of this is what goes on in our world today.
Yeah.
We can't hide it. You do have pastors, deacons, choir members, choir directors, men in the church that are living double lives. They
Mhm.
have a wife or a girlfriend and
Mhm.
they're sleeping around with other men. And in
Mhm.
the process of this, from what I know from past experience of talking to people that have had relationships, guys with these DL
Mhm.
men, they end up getting hurt because the DL guy still wants a wife and kids, a wife on their
Mhm.
arm, but they still got tendencies of wanting to be with this man on the end, and the man is getting the second hand like in a straight relationship with a woman that's the side piece. So
Mhm.
you have these guys that are getting their feelings and emotions into these DL men not understand they're gonna get hurt in the end because you're not that woman, you're
Mhm.
not that wife, you're not the one with the kids, but I still want you on the side as my little side piece. So I talk about that in this book. And I, like I said, I wasn't gonna write it, but when characters get to speaking in my brain, I gotta bring them out. I gotta do
Come
that.
on. Come
And
on.
you know, I'm 5 books in. My second book won your first awards as the novel of
Mhm.
the year, fiction book of the year.
Mhm.
So you know, I come with that heat. I'm not
That's
gonna bring
it.
no
That's
mess.
it.
I'm gonna bring you how it is. I'm gonna give you
Yeah.
the real deal, tell it how it is. So that's what made me write this book and put it out. And I'm excited about it. It should be out no later than March. But I'm really excited about it. But this book, I want people to take away from the message because you know, every book I always have a message in the
Mhm.
end. I
Mhm.
want the message to regenerate with this book, not so much the plot and what's going on, because this book is going to have you mad at certain times when you read it. It's going to have you laughing at certain times, and it's also going to make you cry. It
Mhm.
really is. It's going to make you really feel some kind of way for that character that, of course, is okay with his sexuality. Being when he's dealing with this guy that's the pastor that is uncomfortable and bisexual, but still leading him on. So it's going to be certain, like I said, certain points where you're going to laugh, certain points where you're going to cry. But overall, and again, I want the message to be seen that number one, you have to live your truth. And
Mhm.
number two, you can't play with God.
Come come on. Look at here. So I'm still when I don't heard everything you said, I'm trying to figure out why you say this ain't gonna be something I want to talk about. Because obviously you ain't talked to me enough to, if you didn't think I want to talk about this. We gonna jump into it. Let me say hello to Miss Ratasha, to Tammy, to everybody that's tuning in. As you all are coming on, please feel free to hit the like and share button. We are talking to Jeffery Roshell, author, award-winning author. And his upcoming project is The Ways You Lie. So look at here. You done pretty much already told me where the inspiration has come from, in that this is something that you know to be true. This is a truth that goes on in the church and it's not always exposed, right? And you know, like, even though it's a homosexual topic within your book, like you said, this is a struggle that people have all the time. And so I want to kind of talk about it first as the struggle, and then we can kind of hone in on the actual topic of it being about homosexuality, right? And the reason why I'm strategically doing that is because at least my experience has been that in the church specifically, we like to kind of highlight big sins. You know how we do it in the church. Like in the church, like the big sin is homosexuality. You know,
Right,
like we'll pray if you a liar, or we'll pray if you a thief, you
right,
know. But if you a homosexual, then we just got a special hell for you, you
yeah,
know. And
right,
the Bible that I read say it's 10 commandments, and it's a whole lot of thou shalt not. It's not just one specific one, right? And
right.
so what I want, when you talked about, you know, after I expose all of this, there's a message. So one of the things I want to know is, like, for you personally, do you feel like that the struggles that people have, like, do you feel that people are phony, so to speak, if they're still coming to church while they're going through whatever their issues may be?
Well, to answer that question on that, as my character Deoncius, who's the bisexual pastor who's dealing with Randall, who's
Mm,
okay with his sexuality. Deoncius is a youth pastor. Deoncius is in a frat. Deoncius is a Mason. Deoncius is it's a lot of stuff that Deoncius is doing in this book. And to answer that question, I really think that if you want to give something up, if it's truly in your heart with God, and you want to give something up and you want to pray about it and pray, I believe that anybody that wants deliverance from anything can ask from God and he shall give it to you.
come on.
I believe that if you really sincere about it and you are wanting to give it up, you can. And that's the one of the things that I do stress in the book. You'll see how Deoncius is, he's telling Randall this and that, and that he wants to, you know, he wants a wife and kids, but you're still leading him on. You still in the pulpit preaching to people and
Mhm.
you teaching the people, but you messing around with him, but you don't want to be seen with him. But it just, if you really want to be delivered from something, Toneal, I really believe that anybody that asks God and is sincere about it, you will and you can be healed.
I think we could wrap up the show right now. Somebody pass a collection plate, because that's just a whole word that you just gave right there. You see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like, Tiana said that deliverance is free, right? So whatever it is, like you just said, no matter what it is, and this is how come I'm one. This ain't a popular message. I don't preach it over the pulpit, and people don't like me for it. But for me, I don't feel that homosexuality is no greater sin than any of the other things that God tells us to stay away from. And the same way that you can be delivered from adultery, the same way you can be delivered from fornication, the same way you can be delivered from any of the things that you're not supposed to be doing, as you said, when you ask of God, because there's been too many people who have come on and their testimony has been, this was my lifestyle. This
Right.
is who I used to be.
Right.
But God stepped in. And I feel that when we start placing limitation, when we start saying this is the unforgivable sin. Now, this is just Toneal. This ain't in the book of the Bible. This is Toneal. According to the book of Toneal, I feel that we're limiting what God can do when we just cast certain ones to the side. When we just say, well, this person is just unforgivable, or this person is just. So you mean tell me that they're in the sin, they're dealing with something so great that God can't deliver them from? You
Right.
see what I'm saying? And so
Right.
I'm so glad to hear what you said, that it is, it is something that one can be delivered from. Now, you personally, do you know anyone who has had that testimony where this was my life and now it no longer is?
I can't say I know anybody that has had that testimony, but I know few people that do struggle with it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't, I like I said, I really believe that God can deliver you from anything you ask him to do. But I do know some people that do struggle with it as well. I do know several Deonciuses. And
Mm-hmm.
and like I said, the point, one of the messages that I'm trying to make in that book is that, if you're asking God for it, if this is really what you want, anything that you ask God for, you shall receive. Like the young lady said, salvation is free.
Mm-hmm.
Asking you shall receive. So
Mm-hmm.
like I said, anybody that wants deliverance from it, you can have it. But I do know some people that still struggle with it as well.
Mm-hmm. And what do you say to people who say that you're living a lie if you know that you're struggling, but you're still coming to church? Do you feel that the person is living a lie because they're in the midst of struggling? Do you feel that they shouldn't come to church anymore because this is something that they're struggling with daily?
No, because God says, come as we all are.
Mhm.
You can't turn away the whoremonger, you can't turn away the homosexual, you can't turn away the drunk, you can't turn away the drug user, you can't turn away no God. God wants us all to come and be as one. So I don't
Mhm.
believe in that. Like I said, if it's the fact that you want deliverance from it, asking you shall receive. But God doesn't want us to turn anyone away. And that's what we struggle with in the church. And that's really piggybacking to
Mhm.
and that scene I wrote in that book is gonna
Mhm.
um Trayshawn and Martise went to church and
Mhm.
asked to call the homosexual sin out in that scene. It's like
Mhm.
got a lot of pastors that will do that. They will call it out. But here it is, you're supposed to be accepting to everybody to the church, because you never know when somebody wants to come and say, this is my time to be delivered from whatever
Yes.
I went through. And I want to come to the altar and give my life to God. We as church people, sometimes church people can hurt people. We look at people kind of differently when they come through the doors. We have different things to say about people sometimes, and we don't know what they're struggling with and what they're waiting for to be healed from. I
Mhm.
know when I used to sing with Dexter Walker and Zion Movement, Dexter used to always tell us in rehearsal that we have to keep an armor of God on us, because we never know when someone is coming to our concert and they looking for healing or
Come
deliverance,
on.
and we showing a different kind of way that we acting. That didn't resonate with what that meant to me, to Neil, till I thought about it one night. And I said, Dexter has a point. We have to live a life that's pleasing to God, and we can't be doing this and doing that, because we never know who's watching us and
Come
who
on.
wants deliverance and salvation for coming to a concert and listening to gospel music. You never know how you're ministering to somebody. So I definitely believe that. I do. I do.
Absolutely, absolutely. Hello to Miss Rochelle and Tanya and Lisa and everybody who's tuning in. For those of you who are just now joining, I am interviewing award-winning author Jeffery Roshell, and we've kind of been discussing his book and the concepts behind his book, the upcoming project, The Ways You Lie. And I just want to go on that really quickly. Like, here, I'm a person who believes that the church, we say it all the time. And here's what's really crazy. We always say in church that the church is the hospital. We always quote that scripture that is not the well that need a physician, but the sick. Yet, as you said to your point, when you get the sick to start coming in the church, when the drug addicts start coming in the church, when the prostitutes start coming in the church, when the homosexuals start coming in the church, then we got all these type of looks. We give them all types of things, and all types of judgments are coming in our heads. And my thing is to that, shame on us, because we are not supposed to be judging, but we are there to help them and help their set environment so that they will feel free to be free. Do you see what I'm saying? Like when you come in the environment, you know when all eyes are looking at you. And for some people, it's all the strength that they can muster, because many people, when they're not right, they don't feel comfortable coming in the church as it is. And so we need to be able, because let me tell you, and I ain't trying to be real deep. When I done been in sin and I ain't been out on the street, but when I go to the left, I feel uncomfortable coming into the church
Right.
because I know that I'm off. So imagine somebody who may not have had a prior relationship. They don't know that God loves you unconditionally. They don't know that, you know what, he don't like the sin, but he loves you. And so we as a church have a job to do where we have to communicate not our opinions, but we have to really start sharing with people the love of God. And so that's why honestly I like the fact that you chose to, and I haven't read it, just full disclosure, I have not read it, but just looking at the cover, I knew when you told me, you was like, it's about homosexuality. I said, Jeffrey, I can look at the cover. I can kind of gather that just by looking at the cover. And so, but the thing about it is, I'm glad that you had, and I want to say this word, the courage to write this book, because regardless of the content, understanding that this is going to be talking about homosexuality, a lot of times, and I want to know if you have found this to be the case, when you are in the church, if you write about certain things, people may look at you a certain way because they'll say, I thought you were saved. What are you doing writing about that?
Yeah, I got that from It's Gonna Rain when I put that one out. But to that, I don't, to that personally, to say to Neil, I don't owe anybody any explanation but God. So at the end of the day, I had really doubts about writing that book. I really
Mhm.
did. I didn't want to write that book because that book dealt with, of course, with the black church and
Mhm.
homosexuality and the HIV virus. And I
Mhm.
knew I was going to get people talking about, well, why did he write this and that and all that. I did get that from that book, but had I wouldn't have wrote that book, I wouldn't have won first place
Come
first
on.
year of the
Come
APS
on.
Awards. Had I wouldn't have wrote that book, it wouldn't be getting ready to be turned into an Audible book, ready for Audible in a couple of months. Had I
Come
wouldn't
on.
book, it wouldn't have sold about 5,000 copies. Had I wouldn't have wrote that book, somebody would have been talking to me about a play pretty soon. Had I wouldn't have wrote that book, I wouldn't have reached people from here to Los Angeles to Michigan to down south. So I really, really am proud of what I did, and I don't owe anybody an explanation but God, and that's what I say.
Come on. You about to look. I was about to throw my computer, but then I said that would have ended the doggone interview too early. But you done just gave a whole word yet again. Like, we have to understand that when you're walking in purpose, number one, when you're walking in purpose, you can't be concerned about what other people are saying. Number two, everybody don't have the same purpose. So who it is that you're to reach may not be who I'm called to reach. So therefore, what your purpose to do and how your purpose to reach them, you never know. Someone who may be in that homosexual struggle may pick up your book, and then that's going to help them. If that hasn't been my calling, and that don't mean that I've actually walked in, that's not my calling, then
Right,
that means that I might not be able to reach them. There are people that I'm able to reach that I've never gone through that situation. You see what I'm saying? But
right,
they are my assignment. And so a lot of times what happens is you're trying to reach people when this ain't your assignment. And so you're mad because I'm reaching them, but reach who you're supposed to reach, and you'll be able to get them instead of trying to come over here and either criticize me for who I am reaching, or being mad that you're not reaching who I'm reaching. You see what I'm saying? Because you already know how I feel, that there is enough for everybody to eat.
right.
We don't ever have to be just for anybody. And just to that point that you made, one of the reasons why, so when it, because I still remember that, and this was 5 years ago, but I still remember it like it was yesterday. I remember when that book got put on my desk as being a finalist, and I don't remember the other ones that was there. I'm just, and I'm not trying, that's no shade, but I honestly don't remember the other ones. And one of the reasons why I did choose for it to be an award winning book, because it was borderline, Jeffrey, and you are, because you know kind of like what my criteria is. So it's a little edgy, it's a little borderline, but I really felt like it was a message that the church needed to hear. You
Yeah,
know, we have to stop preaching to the choir. We have to understand that the church is supposed to be beyond the four walls. We got to understand that the message, if I'm already say, I ain't got to preach you say, because you already say, I
right,
got to try to reach somebody who's not that. And the way that we do that is by trying to be able to relate and connect to folk. And sometimes we miss that. I want to go back to what Rochelle said. Rochelle said, we have to extend to people the same grace that God has given us, because we don't always get it right. And it's so amazing to me that once we finally do get it right, we want to act like we done always been there. We,
right.
we want to act like it didn't take us 20 years, but you know what I'm saying? And then we got the nerve to want to judge somebody else. But let me see. Hold on. I want to say what, because Ty's in the house too. Ty said that she is so proud of you. Phenomenal storyteller. I totally agree that he is. And then Tanya says that she needs to order your book for a client of hers. So you know what? Let's transition to that. If there's somebody who wants to pre-order, because the book is not out yet, it's gonna hit sometime, you said, in March. So
Right.
if somebody, are you doing pre-orders
Yeah.
yet? How can somebody, so
Yes,
if they want pre-order, what can they do?
they can reach me through my inbox on Facebook. Of
Okay.
course, you know it's author Jeffery Roshell is my Facebook page. They can inbox me there. I am taking pre-orders for the book. I have started doing that. Yes.
Okay. Okay. So we definitely want to make sure inbox Jeffrey on Facebook for pre-order. Because y'all know I don't talk and type. I ain't that gifted yet. But you guys can be sure, whether you are watching this through YouTube or Facebook, if you want to pre-order your book, The Ways You Lie, if you want to pre-order that, if you're not already friends with Jeffrey, then friend him. If you are friends with him already, then hit him in the inbox and let him know that you want to place an order for the book in advance. So Jeffrey, I'm excited because you just named some stuff that I didn't know about. You said you was talking about some plays, you talking about a whole lot of stuff that's been going on with the other work. Because that's what I was going to actually ask you was, how have things been? Because you've done not only It's Gonna Rain, but also all of Marvin's Children, all of them, all of them. How are all Marvin's Children doing? How is they doing, boy? How
They
they doing since I last read about them?
they everybody's doing great. You know, Toneal, I like I said, I get these characters in my head and I just write their story. And then when they done taking up vacancy in my head, they pack up and they move
Back
on.
up and leave.
Somebody else come on and they take a vacancy in my head and I start writing about them and they come on and they move on. But yeah, I'm really excited about the of knowing the and also being a part of the fact that I won your very first year APS
Yeah,
Book Awards for
yeah,
Fiction Book of the Year, and then turned around last year again,
yes.
won again second place for your awards for 2021. So I'm just really excited about that. Like I said,
Absolutely.
I've never won, like I told you, the very first awards, I never won an award for anything. And that was just an honor that you guys truly honored me and you honored the message of the books that I write. Because, like
Mhm,
you said, it's not so much about what the storyline is, but it's always a message. And I didn't
mhm.
really think about I was writing messages until somebody that reviewed my book said that they was like, Author Jeffrey Roshell writes these books, but there's always a message at the end of the book. And I just
Absolutely.
that message at the end of the book. So I'm definitely just keep going. And shouts out to us that Ty Young.
Yeah, see that?
She edited It's Gonna Rain.
Okay.
That's my editor for It's Gonna Rain. I appreciate everything that she's done for me. She's been with me for the last 5 years, but she actually edited that book. And I'm glad to say that and thankful for her as well too. But everything's been going good. So like I said to Neil, I'm just excited about this new one. I just want everybody just to see the message of the book. Like I said, it is very deep.
Mhm.
Like I said, I get into those issues of homosexuality and bisexuality in the church and living a double life and getting your heart broke. Like I said, you're gonna laugh, but you're gonna also cry because in this book, you got the young man Randall that's really he's into Dionysius, but Dionysius is living this double life.
Mhm.
Dionysius is still into women.
Mhm.
Dionysius wants a wife and kids. They're
Mhm.
both in their young 20s. Dionysius wants a wife and kids. He's a youth pastor. He's in a fraternity. He's also a Mason. And you're also going to see why Dionysius is choosing to have these sexual tendencies with guys. I talk
Mhm.
about that as well too in the book. So overall, it's really deep, but it's gonna make you also cry as well as laugh. And I want to say how the young people said, "Spin the block."
Yeah.
What I want to say with that is Dionysius was doing Randall wrong, but
Mhm.
God is gonna spin the block for Randall for Dionysius. So that and in the book, people gonna be like, okay, yeah, he finally get with, yeah. I didn't leave Randall out. Now you may be crying for Randall a little bit, but God gonna spin the block for Randall too. And that's gonna be the part of the book that's really gonna get really, really deep because Dionysius is really gonna need Randall in
Mhm.
the end as well too. So,
Mhm.
like I said, the book, I just want people to just take away from the message of the book that you can't play with God and you need to be comfortable and accepting to who you really, really are, really, really who you are. Um, I know I was working on my book, Africa, and I don't know if you've seen the cover of that,
I
but
don't
this
think I've seen it.
this book is Africa is a book that deals with the church too and supernaturalism.
Oh, okay. You taking us there. Okay.
My inspiration from that book, because I was actually supposed to do that one first before this one,
Okay.
but my just to get into that one a little bit, I don't want to take away from what we're really talking about. Supernaturalism in the church, believing into ghosts and things. That inspiration comes from Toni Morrison and Beloved, and that's going to be
Mhm.
really good too. And then Tanarif Due, who writes horror, Black African horror. I took her class, and that kind of taught me how to write about supernaturalism too. But that's another book that's going to deal with the church and supernaturalism as well as too. But just to piggyback on The Ways You Lie, I just really want everybody just to get the message from that book and just to know that you can't play with God.
Mhm.
And you also have to be just truthful with who you are. I show that the truthfulism of who you are, you need to live your truth and be who you are. And if you want the deliverance, you'll get it. So
Absolutely. And you know what? What I kind of liked was the implied double entendre, right? The ways you lie. And you have two men in the bed. So, like, whether you want to talk about the ways you lie, meaning lying down, like who all it is that you're lying down with, or
right.
the ways you lie, the different types of lies that you tell. So, I already was kind of like interested in hearing it. And all I'm going to say is, that the sixth annual APS Book Awards are now officially accepting submissions, and we don't close until April 12th. I'm just gonna say that. Hello, Miss Shalonda. The book, Miss Shalonda, is not available because Shalonda is asking where she can purchase the book. So it is actually on pre-order. Jeffrey, you already got folks that's lined up to get this one.
I'm excited about that. If they want to pre-order it, they can. I'm more than willing because I'm taking pre-orders right now for the book.
I'm trying to tell y'all. So this is what you need to do. If you are not already friends with author Jeffery Roshell on Facebook, then what we need to do, like, don't leave now. But as soon as this show is over, y'all go to his profile page, send him a friend request, and if he got some space left, he'll accept you. And then you can go ahead and hit him in the inbox and let him know that you would like to pre-order The Ways You Lie. But Jeffrey, going back to what Ty's point, he is a phenomenal storyteller. Like, he will take it and he will break down like all the characters where you feel like you know them. And if I can, real quick, I want to jump back to all of Marvin's children, because here's the thing. He done had like one or two kids, Jeffrey. He had a whole lot of them. And the fact that you were able to be like, you were able to give each child had their own personality. They, like, none of them read the same. Because sometimes what happens, and what I found as being an editor, is that even the authors kind of get their characters confused. You know what I'm saying? But there was no confusion with the characters. And I'm not trying to put nothing else on your plate, but this is just a question I want to know. Like, are we gonna see something else? Like, is there gonna be a part two or something else gonna happen from some of them children? Because that story could actually continue into something else. I'm just wondering, as a reader, you can just let me know.
No, I actually just want to close out
Okay.
book with all Marshall, but you never know because you see how it's gonna rain. I'm bringing back Trayshawn and Martise in The Ways
Mm-hmm.
You Lie. They're going to be
Mm-hmm.
Randall's best friends in the book. And if you remember Martise's story with Andre and It's Gonna Rain, he's going to tell that story to Randall because of what Randall's going through with Deontay is right
Okay.
now. So,
Okay.
so you never know. I
That's
may
what I'm
bring
saying.
them
You can't
back,
never, you
right?
never
I
sit
may
down
bring them
again.
back. I may bring them back because everybody's always asking me, "Are you going to do a book where you going to bring some of your characters back? Are you going to bring Martise back?" So I decided to say, "Okay, I'll make them Randall's best friends in The Ways You Lie." So I brought them back from It's Gonna Rain. So you never know.
You,
I may go
that
back and
is
do
so
something with
true.
all Marvin's children with all them.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Get a couple of them and they can be somebody's friends. And then, what they got,
Right.
like in TV, is crossover, right? Where you had those crossover shows. So,
Right.
just because you got enough characters where you can do it. But I want to ask you this question, and because I don't know how long your break is, Jeffrey. Now I want them to say,
I'm
you
till
don't been
six.
on break too long.
I'm till 6. It's cool.
Okay. Okay. So I just had a couple more questions,
Okay.
general questions. You've been an author for quite some time now.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's two questions. One, what has been the most difficult part about being an author? And then two, what has been the most rewarding part about being an author?
The most difficult part about being an author, Toneal, is reaching the masses. What I had to do, some of the struggles that I had to overcome, reaching the masses of people reading my books. You have 5 books I've written, but I still feel like people don't know who I am. And even with you reading it and saying it's a phenomenal story, but you still have people that read books that don't know who I am. That has been the biggest struggle for me, is getting my name out there. I really want people to read my books and to enjoy them as well as everybody say they are, because they are really good books. But it's like reaching the masses sometimes can be pretty hard because it's just okay and understandable. Everybody has their own favorite author that
Mhm.
they read, but you got some people who really won't. I just read this one author, or I don't read another author, and I feel like people should give everybody a chance because you never know how that author's book may inspire you to want to read more of their books. And I've had that happen. I've had people come and tell me, I didn't really think your books were that good, but I checked out this one. And now
Mhm.
that makes me want to go back and read the other one that you wrote,
Mhm.
and vice versa.
Mhm.
So I really think that that's been the biggest struggle, is just reaching the masses. If you're not really, really popular, or if somebody doesn't give you that push or put on, then people really, really kind of stray away from reading your books until they finally say, okay, hey, let me
Mhm.
check this person out. And then finally, yes, I should have been purchased your book. So yeah, I want to purchase all 4 of your other books. I got your 5th one. So that's
Mhm.
been the most challenging thing. And the rewarding thing is meeting people
Yeah.
and talking to people and doing the different book events and the speaking events that I've done, and people saying, "Oh, that's Jeffery Roshell," and people coming to my table when I do book events and just taking pictures with people, and just I never set out to become a author. What
Mhm.
I thought I was going to be doing was either teaching a class
Mhm.
or becoming a certified registered nurse. I never thought that I was going to write books. And
Right.
when I stepped out on faith, when I was laid off from my job in 2014 and wrote Thornhill, I just want to write more. And when people read that book and they were asking for another book, and here comes It's Gonna Rain, and then after It's Gonna Rain came Friday After Dark, and then after that one came Class Reunion, the sequel to Thornhill, and then after that one came All Marvin's Children. It just made me want to continue to keep writing more books because, like I said, I never set out to
Mhm.
become an author. I never thought that I was going to become an author, but here I am. So that's the most rewarding thing, and I thank God for the gift of being able to tell a story. Because before I was a writer, I was a reader. I was reading everybody's books and picking
Mhm.
up different ideas and saying, okay, maybe one day I could step out on faith and write a book. And you got everybody that wants to write and always says that. I was one of those people that
You
did that.
actually did.
That if you thinking about writing a book and you having that, well, I want to write a book, the first step is typing that sentence in your laptop or writing that sentence out, and then just writing something every day. But you got to actually take that step if you really want to write a book, to write the book, because had I wouldn't have been 5 books in, 6 years in.
Come on, come on. And you know what? What you said it is kind of comparable to what I tell people. Writing is kind of like eating Pringles. You know how they say once you pop, you can't stop.
Right.
And you find yourself doing that because what happens is you end up hitting this creative nerve that you didn't know that you had. And so it's like once you kind of unblock that, now that creativity is flowing and it's hard to just cut it off. So now you know you got all of this stuff in you that you didn't know you had in you. It's all these different stories that you like, oh, let me tap into this. Or you know, when you start talking about this story, it may not fit here. So now I gotta find a place over here for it to fit. So now it became its own book. Ty said that she said, I agree, some of the children need a story, no pressure. Some of the children need a story. So, in other words, she agreeing with what I said, Jeffrey. She said Marvin Jr. and Michelle need a book. Ty, I just see, now I got somebody. So you gonna have to start. Okay, we know you said you got the ways you lies coming, and then you said Africa. But I need you to think about it as a stove. At least on the back burner, you need to be because somebody else done said that I was right. So that's all I'm saying. And then Shalonda said that your energy is everything.
Oh,
Shalonda,
thank
you
you.
were not here at the beginning of the show, but I told everybody Jeffrey just has this energy, like you feel it through his text when like he's the type of poster, if I can, person that posts. He's the type of person that posts that he don't need a picture, he don't need a video. Like he just knows how to use his exclamation marks. He knows how to use them emojis. Like he can convey his point and his energy. It just draws you in. And so for those of y'all, hey Carolyn, Carolyn says congratulations. Hold on, where she go? Yeah, Carolyn said congratulations, Jeff. So yeah, we just he is that. Like I have had the privilege of actually meeting Jeffrey, because a lot of my Facebook friends, I only know them online, but I mean we have a lot of dealings with each other, but I have not had the privilege of meeting in person. And it was so funny because we actually met in person because you were actually beating the deadline. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
The first year
Yeah.
you're like, okay, sis, like I promise y'all, and this is not, this is just a laughing moment. Now we can look back because Jeffrey he heard about the APS Book Awards opening up, and he messaged me January. He was like, okay, wait, what's this award? So I told him about it. So he was like, wait, when is the deadline? So I told him. So then like February, he's like, sis, I promise you, I am going to enter this. I'm not. I'm like, oh, okay, Jeffrey, you still got a couple months. March, he was like, wait, when's the deadline again? I was like, it's April 12th or whatever. So then he was like, it was like April 11th. He was like, can I please meet you? Because I'm not going to get it. I'm not going to get it there in time. And I promise you, I believe that this book is worth you reading. Can I please just meet you to
Yes.
you the book? And I couldn't say no. I mean, like he lived in my city. He only 20 minutes away at the time. If you're in Chicago, for everybody to think that Chicago is a big town, if you in Chicago, everywhere is 20 minutes away. It really don't matter where you at. You
Yeah.
20 minutes away. So I was like, come on, Jeffrey, where you want to meet? I will meet you. And that's actually how we officially met. He meant, when I talk about determination and such a crazy energy, you just couldn't say no to. And I had no clue. I didn't know what it was that I was going to be reading. And who knew? Who knew? So, I said, wow, it was so worth it. I'm so glad that you didn't give up, not just in that moment, but then fast forward into the actual first gala when you were there. Out of everybody that was there, like I was doing such a good job preserving my makeup the whole time because that was such an emotional night. When I say that I have made it through everybody, and when you got up there and you thanked me because you said I've never won an award in my life, and this has really made a difference for me. And it's like that was it. Like that just took me out. Like all the makeup, eyeliner, eyeshadow, everything was just, it was because the sincerity that you had. You know what I'm saying? And you, that sentence personified why I do what I do, because everybody needs to be encouraged, at some point in their life. Like you could be a person that gives and gives and does and does, and sometimes you need that back, and you don't even realize how much you need it back. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so, in either case, I'm so grateful for you. I'm grateful for your gift that you don't allow any of these other circumstances. And I don't just mean the naysayers, but you going to school for nursing, like that's a whole job, like doing your professional gig, and you're still trying to do that and write it. And I just speak the blessings and favor of God over your life. I speak that everything that you are asking to happen will happen for you, that all of these books will be bestsellers, national bestsellers, international bestsellers, whatever it is, whatever stage that you want to appear on. I speak that God's favor will carry you, because you write to an audience that many people are afraid to even talk to. And so the fact that you are so candid with them, I believe that there are going to be doors that opens for you that won't open for people who are walking in fear. So I just wish you nothing but the best. So in either case, Jeffery, are there any final remarks that you would like to have? Because I talk too much, so I'm gonna give the floor to you. Are there any final remarks that you would like to have?
Nothing. I'm just glad to have been on the show. I'm glad you gave me this opportunity. I'm glad to always connect with you at
Absolutely.
any point that we do. I do hope you get a chance to check out The Ways You Lie. Like I said, it's definitely going to be a good read, like It's Gonna Rain was. And like I said, I just want everybody just to check out the message in the book. And like I said, just keep supporting me, and I'm definitely always supporting you today on everything you do. And maybe it'll end up in the APS Book Awards. Maybe soon down the line. I was gonna enter it this year, but I'm like, no, 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 no.
Say, give somebody else a chance. Give somebody else a chance.
Yeah,
But
so
that, that's just a true spirit of author, award-winning author. Put some respect on that name. Award-winning author, Jeffery Roshell. So, Jeffery, I want to thank you so much for joining me on today. I want to thank everybody who tuned in. And again, if you guys enjoyed this interview, do us both a favor. Hit the like button, hit the share button, and tag somebody that you believe would benefit from having heard this broadcast and this interview. And please support Jeffery, right? Like he already has 4 books that's already out. Name them again for me, Jeffery.
bad.
No, that 4 is out. This is finna be the 5th one, right? Or this is the 6th one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I better get my life together. Go ahead and name all of them for the people. Name the first 5 again. Go ahead.
Thornhill High School, It's Gonna Rain, APS winner of 2018.
That part.
Friday After Dark, Class Reunion, All Marvin's Children. 5.
That's it. And so I know them two. That It's Gonna Rain and All Marvin's Children, because both of those was APS award winners. But you guys go and check out all of his books. Connect with him on Facebook. And once you do that, you'll be able to pre-order his 6th one, which is entitled The Ways You Lie. And again, if you just came in, then be kind and rewind, so that way you can get more into what it is that the book is going to be about, because he jumped into it. He gave us some, right? But he didn't give you everything. So you're still going to have to pre-order the book. He's looking forward to drop sometime in the spring. And so, before you know it, March and April, we'll be here. So thank you so much, Jeffery. Tell the people thank them for me for giving you a break.
I sure will. I sure
Well,
will.
thank you so much. And thank you all so much for tuning in. And then join me tomorrow. It's the end of the week already, but join me tomorrow for a special episode of Educated and Empowered. It's the relationship edition. And after talking to Jeffery, I don't know what type of relationships we're going to be talking about, but join me live at 5 to find out. Thank you guys. Until next time, you stay inspired.
All right.